Hi, everybody. My name is Matt Hummel. I'm an assistant professor at the University of Cincinnati. I'm here to present on behalf of my colleagues on a project that was funded by the ACC Innovation Initiative called the Examining the Impact of Family and Organizational Culture on the Work, Non-Work Relationship of Intercollegiate Athletic Department Employees. For my colleagues, we did a great job, I thought, at least with the funding that was provided. It's Dr. Elizabeth Taylor at Temple University, Dr. Julie Wayne at Wake Forest, and Dr. Kyle Bunds, who's at North Carolina State University. And this has kind of been a culminating project for us. We've been previously had done some work within looking at the work-life experiences for athletic department employees, especially as it relates to burnout, workaholism, work-family conflict, job commitment, and we thought those concepts could be amplified. And the way we looked at that is we thought it would be a great opportunity for us to talk to their families, specifically their spouses, on what they perceive is the work life experience that their spouses are having working in athletic departments, because we from past studies have found that it is a real big challenge to work in athletics. It's not an easy job. It's probably one of the toughest jobs to have out there, particularly related to like medical field or working in the tip of the spear for economics. But we had four major research questions that we get across. First one is looking at how do athletic department administrators and their partners navigate their work and family boundaries? How do they make those two things work together? Also, how, for the second research question, we looked at how do athletic administrators and their partners perceive the impact of the athletic department trying to have an integration between their work and life boundaries and families. Then the third one is looking at is how do family focused events create a more family inclusive culture? We asked a lot of people that during the interview process. And then the last question we had was what strategies do athletic administrators and their partners utilize in handling those escalating time constraints when it comes to having a full-time job and family? We collected data from not only ACC folks but also SEC and Big Ten, because we thought that there was a lot of competing partners there that would have similar feelings on how their experiences are going. But our first question, looking at how they navigate those boundaries, we found that essentially a lot of the respondents prefer to keep their work and personal life separate, which is interesting because later we find out athletic departments prefer to try to keep those things integrated. But our results kind of looked at it as if an employee gets organizational support and family support, it's going to have a better or higher positive impact on their work non-work balance. So to me, the more support that the employee can feel, this shouldn't surprise us that they're going to feel that there's a better balance between their work and non-work that's going on there. Now, in our interviews, found something a little bit different. Looking at athletic departments, were trying to create opportunities for families to attend athletic events, and so therefore it started bringing those families more into their role of athletics. This worked great if the spouse was a big fan or loved sports, but for others, this might felt like that the athletic role was getting a priority over the family role because it was always family going into athletics. And with everyone having kids at different ages, sometimes those things work, sometimes they don't, or everyone's family dynamics can be a little bit different. Our second one, looking at essentially that athletic department's commitment to work-life integration. That's where I hit on. Our employees showed that they thought that there was a moderate levels of perceived organizational support and family support and support behaviors from supervisors. Partners felt like there wasn't as much support from their supervisors for their spouse as the spouse did. And that could imply that there is less support for supervisors on the family role because those spouses are feeling more of the brunt of that hit than this employee is. So there could be, to us, the results here saying that maybe supervisors do need to provide better support for family, even though the employees perceiving it, it's probably because they're rooted within this culture of athletics of always having to give more to the employee. Now, we found also that our results in that show that organizational, supervisor, and familial support were predictors of increased employee job satisfaction, the employee perceiving a better fit with the organization, and perceived schedule control for the employee. So again, this is where having more supervisor, family support from the organization is going to make a much bigger impact, not only for the employee, but for the spouse and their family. The third question we looked at just interviews. We had some employees and spouses that believed the employer did generally open up things or were open to having their families there, even when it's not just events. But others didn't feel that way. Some people feel like the supervisors didn't care because they didn't have kids, so they didn't have a similar experience. COVID also wrecked some of these opportunities, which is understandable. But then some felt like there wasn't a lot of kids within the employees. So there wasn't a lot of family friendly or kid friendly opportunities because so many people didn't have kids, which is probably a much bigger long-term warning sign that people aren't having kids in athletics because of the work requirements that are within that. And then the last piece was strategies. People talked about sharing calendars, saying no to certain obligations to prioritize family activities, seeking support from family to help soften the blow from all the work. But then we also found some people that looked and tried to find hacks or ways that they could cheat the workaholism system in athletics. One person talked about vacationing in Europe that way that they wouldn't have to get bothered so often by work because they couldn't have access. Another person talked about they constantly put a lot of photos of their family around to make sure that they'd have to constantly see that and realize they have to get out there and be more involved with family. These are some of our results. There's a lot more details within our document that we can provide. And on top of that, we also can and look forward to maybe present to you and answering any questions you may have for our study. But thanks again for your support from the ACC Innovation Initiative, and we look forward to working with you in the future.